Hey guys, George, start with you. The trade up for the Williams, the running back. When did those discussions start today, and what do you like about them?
They actually started last night. Before I visited with you guys. We just think he's a special back, a 3-down back. Really good on first and second down. He can pass protect. He can catch the ball to the backfield. Just an incredible teammate. Incredible off the field. He's a gift player. We call guys gift players that are, exceptional off the field as well as on. So he fit our criteria. He's going to help us. Him and Melvin and Boone. I feel like you need 2 or 3 backs in this league to have success, and he's going to bring that to the table.
And then real quick, Vic, what's your take on Browning, and where do you think he plays best?
Good athlete, runs real well, got versatility. Sometimes his versatility has kind of hurt him a little bit in his development. We'll figure out where we're going to put him first, see how he does there, and make a final decision at some point. But like his speed, like his athleticism, think he'll be a major contributor in special teams and compete, for one of the linebacker spots.
Hey, George, I just wanted to know what was the challenge of evaluating Meinertz, and do you see him at guard, his natural position, or some center as well?
Yeah, the challenge is obviously they didn't have football this year at Whitewater, so he had to go back 2 years ago where he was 20 pounds heavier and he had a neck roll. He kind of looked like a hunchback on tape. I mean, he dominated the competition, but the competition, was about like Vic's size. So he was. It was hard to evaluate until you went to the Senior Bowl, and he lost 20 pounds. He's in shape, and he fared well against elite competition. And so that when you evaluate that, you interview the kid and you get his background, and he ran 4.89, 4.9. Really good athlete, loves the physicality of the game. I think he's going to fit in with our group and Coach Munchak, and he has a lot of upside.
Yeah, how much did he maybe raise up your draft board after going to the Senior Bowl?
Yeah, quite a bit. I think everyone's draft board, because there was a lot of unknowns about him. And then when you see him in one-on-one drills blocking these guys that are first and second round picks, it was pretty amazing. You don't see that very often. And then the more you dig into the person and the player and Whitewater and where he came from, I mean, it's just I think he rose on everyone's draft boards.
And secondly, you've talked a lot about, moving back and picking up draft picks. How happy were you with the way that played out tonight and being able to get, 2 valuable picks there at the end?
Very, very happy. I think we moved back 20 spots, if I'm not mistaken, and got 2 late thirds, and we still got the 2 players we wanted, which is rare to move back that far. So the room was happy, I was happy, and it doesn't always work out like that, but it worked out today.
George, just following up on that, what sort of made you take that risk to move back that far?
I just think you have to take a chance. We didn't just have 2 players, we had 6. They were our top 2, and they were still there. I summoned that 6, got drafted. I just think you need to take a chance every now and then. You need to accumulate picks. It gives you more flexibility, and I've said that, ever since I arrived. You need more picks to have flexibility in the draft, and now we do. I'm a little disappointed we don't have a 4th round pick, but I think we have 6 from 5 through 7.
I wanted to ask you that too. Some people say this is kind of a thin board as you go into the 6th and 7th round. What do you think?
As we were looking, it's not as thin as I thought. Just as I left the draft room, there's going to be players that can help us. I think maybe that's overstated, that it's thinned out. I know we see players that can help us, definitely. We have 6 picks. We may have some more at the end of the day. And we can also move up in the 4th if we want.
How much will special teams be a consideration tomorrow?
They've been a consideration for all our picks, and they will be, especially in this 3rd day, definitely.
George, a couple for you and one for Vic here. First, when you were there at 70, how do you consider what the value is of moving back compared to potentially losing out on those guys that you mentioned you wanted?
Yeah, we have charts we use. I think the whole league uses, so you do the math and you take the risk. And the good thing is we didn't just have 2 players, we had 6. And, doing this a long time, if you move back 20 spots and you have 6 or 7 players, there'll be 1 there. And then that's And that's the chance we took, and it just worked out our way where we got our top two guys. And I didn't think we'd get our top two. I thought maybe one, and it just so happened to work out. I mean, we had the last pick in the third round, and we had a lot of action on that pick, but Baron Browning was too special of an athlete to move back.
And then you picked up Bradley Chubb's option today. Wondering what went into that decision, and then Vic, your expectations for Bradley in 2021.
Yeah, that was one of the more easier decisions I've had today. I know that. That was really easy. Bradley, we hope he's going to be here a long time. He's one of our core players, on our football team. So that was a very easy decision.
Yeah, we're expecting Bradley to, I think, probably have his best season that he's had in pro football thus far. Last year, coming off the injury, was a lot to deal with. He wasn't truly himself until some point midway through the season, but he was still playing good. And then he got nicked up a little bit there at the end, nothing serious. And I think he should have a really good season for us this year.
For each of you, on Browning, what's sort of the challenge of looking at a multitasker like that and trying to fit him where you might like him?
Well, I think that's Vic's job. We project where he's going to fit. The good thing with him, we think he could play inside or outside, kind of like Ohio State did. He's that talented. So I think Vic has a vision, and his coaches have a vision where to play him. We know he's really talented, and we know, the minute he walks in the door, he's going to be a hardcore special teamer. And Coach McMahon couldn't be more excited.
Vic, how do you approach it?
Yeah, I think he's the type of athlete that, in obvious passing situations, I think we have some freedom there and flexibility where we put him in more of the non-obvious downs, such as first and second down. I think we'll probably try him at inside first, but not for sure. And if it's not working out, we'll put him outside and maybe even cross-train him. But I'd like to get him one spot when he first gets here in the base package and work around the sub package when we get a better feel for him.
Do you think he can be a rusher?
He definitely can do that as part of his job, yes.
George, with Williams, did you see kind of some of his past was a good linebacker in high school? Does some of that come across when you watch him in terms of the way that he plays? And how much does the fact that he split carries, didn't really become a full-time running back until he was in high school, in terms of the freshness of him?
I think it's great. I mean, he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear like some of the other backs, and you can see the linebacker in his play. I mean, if you've watched any clips of him, I mean, he's probably the most physical runner, in the last couple of years, and the thing that makes him unique is the contact balance. He's hard to tackle, whether it's in space or in line or in traffic. He has a unique ability to break tackles, and he's elusive in space. So I think you do see the linebacker in him when he runs because he's so physical, and he breaks so many tackles.
Sorry, I got one for each of y'all. So George, you talked about dart throws and that philosophy. Is this what we're seeing tonight? How much more dart thrown tomorrow? And what's the ratio of success when you throw so many darts that you're looking for?
You just keep throwing. I mean, I don't know if there is a ratio, but, the more chances you have to hit on a player, I've just felt like that. And tomorrow, I don't know how much dart throwing we'll do. Once you get in the later rounds, it's hard to move back and get a lot of capital, especially if you don't have a fourth. I think we'll end up with 10 picks, I think, and that's fine, and happy with that. But, I think, if you hit on 50% of 10, that's 5, right? And so most teams have 7 picks, and if they hit on 50, that's 3.5. So just do the math, and but hopefully more make it than the 10, than the 5.
And then Vic, we've talked about quarterback competition plenty, and George has talked about that. But with Miners, Muti, the little bit we saw, and everything you got going on, you're gonna have some serious competition inside, even though you've got incumbent guys there or guys making a lot of money.
For sure, and I think competition brings the best out of everybody, and we've got a good mix of guys too. Mainly some young guys, some guys in the middle of their career. Nobody's old, so it should be good competition, and nothing's better than that.
Well, and I guess to follow up, is there any thought about maybe getting Reisner any work at tackle ever, just because he has that experience?
He's always been an emergency tackle for us, especially in 19. Not so much last year, because once you were able to dress 8 players, we usually had 4 tackles out of the 8, so it was never on the radar much last year. If we ever had to get a 5th one, he would have done it. But it's always something in the back of our mind as you're building the team, getting a 53-man roster and then a game day roster. It's definitely something to keep in back of our minds.
Yep. Last year, you had 2 good backs in Lindsey and Gordon, but they didn't seem to mesh or complement each other that well. Do you see Williams? How do you see Williams and Gordon complementing each other? It's not really an inside-outside type of thing.
No, and last year's really never had a chance to develop, really, because, Philip missed a bunch of time early in a couple different situations. Melvin missed a game in there. So there was very few games where both of them were really healthy and rolling. Hopefully this year with our 3 backs, Boone being one of them, who we really like, that we signed in free agency, we'll get a nice flow and get a good understanding and a good philosophy and a system which can change from week to week to utilize all 3 of them.
George, how do you see them complementing?
Yeah, I couldn't say it any better than Vic. I think they're different backs, and so I do think they'll complement each other well. All 3 of them are different, and they all bring something different to the table, and so I think it's a really good mix. I like having multiple backs, and I think we've accomplished that.
And one for each of you. Vic, just to follow up on Quinn, do you see him guard or center, or do you like cross-training him as well?
Both. I mean, it's important. You don't want to have many guys that are one position only. So we'll cross-train him there, start him off somewhere, let him get his feet wet, let him get grounded. But eventually you need guys that can play center and guard. And as your off-season develops, your training camp goes on, you kind of see and feel that where the needs are. And if we need to get him to that second position quickly, we'll do that.
And then for George, a lot of trades around the league, but very few 2022 picks are changing hands. Is that what you sort of expected?
Not really. I didn't really think about that much. What do you mean 2022 future picks?
Yeah, future picks.
Yeah, I think you'd see more of that in the 3rd day,
Okay.
if there is that, definitely. It's hard to part with a 2nd or 3rd round pick, so that's why you haven't seen many. You've seen a future first maybe in the 1st round. I think the Giants got one from the Bears. But you may see some tomorrow, definitely.
Okay.